David Steinberg is here. He has had information on Ilhan Omar, as I understand it, hasn't been able to share it because he didn't have the smoking gun. He had bullets. And now may be willing to uncover some of those things that he had found on ballot harvesting fraud. It's legal to ballot harvest. I don't know why in Minnesota, but the fraud that goes along with it was exposed by Project Veritas this weekend. Welcome, David.
Glenn, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So let me play the audio here from Project Veritas so people know what the new information is. Listen.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots for you?
People who work with like Ilhan Omar and other candidates work for them. Ilhan has a handful of people that work for her. They came to us to our apartments. And they tell us that this year you're going to vote for Ilhan. You don't go nowhere, you stay home. We will go fill out for your absentee ballot. When it comes, we'll come and get it. You just don't go nowhere, you stay here. They fill it for us.
They then fill out the ballot. They sign the ballot for us.
They do it, but by themselves.
And then they...
Where do they pay the money?
The minute we sign the thing, the election, that's what you can pay.
That's pretty stunning, David.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning. This has also been circulating, locally. It's been known since 2016, her first election. It was simply an open secret. Now, this reached me and Scott Johnson at Powerline. I believe we've been hearing this since late 2018 regarding her having arranged a massive vote buying campaign in her primary win in 2016, the general in 2016, which is when she was elected as a state representative. And then again in 2018, it was the primary and the general when she was voted to Congress. So this program is not new. It was massive. I have hinted at it. I did discuss it with you briefly on the air back in May.
Right.
And I said, look, this is everywhere. And the way I put it was, look, we are already talking about potentially the worst string of felonies committed by a congressperson in U.S. history. And that's before we get to the bad stuff. And the bad stuff, which we were referencing, is this. Perhaps a historically large vote-buying campaign for several elections.
So because voting is controlled by the state, do we need to have the Attorney General who is watching her back? It's Keith Ellison. Or can the federal government get involved in this?
Good question. The answer is Keith Ellison can be bypassed here.
It cannot be or can be?
Charges are federal.
Federal, okay.
And of course, this is not something that this isn't a situation like Portland where you get arrested and released and not charged and no bail. If a candidate is caught bribing a voter for as little as a candy bar, you could be facing 5 years in prison. And now we are talking about hundreds, perhaps thousands of votes over at least 4 elections.
But you have to believe that those in the Somali community are going to be very apprehensive to talk to investigators. I mean, it's a scary... If this is truly going on, then it means that everything else that is linked to it, the threat of violence, et cetera, if you blow the whistle here, that's also true.
Well, sure. We've published plenty of evidence that her campaign, I mean, we have video evidence. Once again, what we have here, this person actually posted online The video that O'Keefe has posted, he was bragging about what he was doing, just posted it online. It was out there. That's the same thing we had back in 2016 when Alpha News Minnesota, of course, posted a video taken at an Ilhan campaign event where they were talking about whoever it was in the community who had leaked the news of her fraudulent marriage. They had to hunt that person down and get him out of the community. And this was at her campaign, posted on their Facebook. The person who actually recorded that video, his name was Guhad Hashi, was at the time out on bail for a triple stabbing in Ohio. And he was out of state. You know, he had lived in Ohio. He was now in Minnesota running or co-running her intimidation campaign.
That's right. I remember that.
The same guy, he's running this co-intimidation campaign. He's going door to door, knocking on doors, allegedly saying, we want to know that you're going to keep your mouth quiet. If I mark down here that you gave us $25, we'll know we can trust you. So he's running a protection racket. We also have them have talk of them simply running a vote buying campaign where they have bags of money going out, organized by Ali Issi. He was the campaign manager, spread among 11 different building managers for these 11 towers that mostly housed the Somali refugees in Cedar Riverside. The money was getting spread around to each of them. It was simply, if you show up or get in this van and we drive you down and vote, we'll give you a set amount. I've heard the amount of $50 for the primary and $125 for the general.
So, David, is anyone going to look into this?
Well, this was given to the FBI, I can confirm, earlier this year. People, and again, remember, giving false information to the FBI is a felony in itself. We had locals who were willing to give this information face-to-face to the FBI early this year regarding these 4 prior elections. Now, we did not have any concrete evidence. All we had was several people confirming this. Now, again, early this year, after speaking with the FBI, someone said, let's call James O'Keefe. Get him down here, see if he can catch them in the act this year. And as we can see, he was successful. So we now have our foot in the door with proof of her doing it this year. We can go back and look at 2016 and 2018. I feel very confident now about this. Also, just last night, O'Keefe spoke with the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. So he said, what you have on that tape is illegal, and we are looking into it. So it's a great start.
Let me play a little bit more of the tape. This is the ballot harvester. What is it? Liban Mohammed, where he is on social media making a video here about the stack of absentee ballots in his car that he collected for the campaign of a Democrat. Listen.
Numbers don't lie. Waujeedaan gaarigaygu waa buuxaa. Waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala. Soo ma jeedin. Fiiri. Waxaasoo dhan soo ma jeedin. Waa buuxaa gaarigayga. Waa buuxaa yaala.
He says all these absentee ballots, can't you see? They're all here. My car is full of them.
300 clear months.
Today I have 300 ballots for Jamal. Is that enough? Because really, he could have 300 ballots for Jamal just because he was knocking on doors, which is called ballot harvesting, which is fine at least in Minnesota. I don't think it's fine, but he could just go and get the ballots from people that were, signing them of their own volition.
Well, that's not exactly correct. It is fine to collect 3 ballots, not 300, according to Minnesota law. So it is not fine. It is already illegal. Of course, we've got folks like Mark Elias, that Perkins Coie election law attorney. He has led the vote-by-mail suits. There have been, I believe, 36 lawsuits to get vote-by-mail, ballot harvesting, The signature law to get that relaxed, to get everything relaxed, to have votes be able to count 1-2 weeks after Election Day. That's Mark Elias. He's the one who's been suing every state to make what you're seeing in that video legal. Not the fact that he's purchasing votes,
Right.
but to make harvesting 300 ballots just going door to door like that legal. So it's an uphill fight across the country. In every state, it is an absolute crisis at this point, and it all should have been avoided. They've been doing this since March of early this year. You'll remember the moment the coronavirus lockdown started to begin, guys like Mark Elias and the Democratic Party immediately, millions and millions of dollars came out of nowhere, and they started these suits all over the country to implement vote by mail and to change to relax all these other laws. Now, vote by mail has never, ever been implemented in 8 months, March until November. The states that do have it and do a fairly decent job of it, it took them several years of refinement and lawsuits and refinement and process refinement. He was trying to do it in 8 months. They knew from the start this was going to be a disaster. We now have on camera just how big of a disaster we're going to face in November.
David, thank you very much. David Steinberg, investigative reporter, covering the news that came out from Project Veritas this weekend about ballot harvesting fraud in Minnesota. People are literally risking their life to bring information out. You're not going to see this information in the mainstream media. It's important for you to share these things with your friends who are still undecided or, are just normal people that maybe aren't hearing things. People are not hearing the truth because they're only watching one side or the other. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate it.
Ilhan Omar.